Hello and welcome back to Leicester Fan TV for the episode 2 of the Championship chat. I'm sure anyone who's watching this would rather it be a Premier League chat, but here we are after last season. Last week it was me, Chris, and Brad, and we did some season predictions, top 6 and bottom 3 and stuff like that. This week we're joined by Oscar. People on the channel will know Oscar. He's obviously with Leeds being in the Premier League.
We were both in the Premier League locks during the good old days.
I am glad that you came down with us. No offense. It was, you're holding our hand down there. And
I would be. I'm the same with you, to be fair, mate. It'd be horrendous in the group chat if it'd just been me and Joe in the Championship and you just stayed up. That'd have been horrendous. I apologise, but I can't lie to you.
No worries, mate. Obviously, this week we will be just looking at some predictions for the fixtures for this weekend. Football's back. The Championship is about to start tomorrow night, so we'll go through some fixtures. Before we start, Chris, how are you, mate? How's your week been? You all right?
It's all good, mate. Started a new job this week,
Nice.
So it's been all hands on deck, shall we say? But no, really enjoying it. And just happy to have some relaxation to talk some football because it's been snooker for the last 4 days.
Oh, snooker! You're into snooker, are you?
No, it's my job, mate. It's my job.
Oh,
it's
okay.
Snooker. So it's good to relax and talk football for once.
Nice. Oscar, how's your week been, mate? I mean, I know it's a bit up and down, like a roller coaster at the minute with Leeds. Every time I see Joe's live stream, it's like, I don't know what mood I'm going to catch him in, if I'm honest. Like, sometimes it's like over the moon saying Leeds are going to win the league, and then I'll click on 4 hours later and he's like crying practically. So
to be fair, I'm the same. Like, I don't know if you saw me as a biggie. I literally put to you, it's over. When I saw your link with the winger from Palace, I was like, yep, it's over for us. Southampton and Leicester top 2, done before a ball's even been kicked. It's over. And then before, in the morning, I was like getting a bit cocky with you as well. So it's like, I don't really know where Leeds are at, honestly. I think we should be looking to push for automatic promotion, though, to be totally honest. People might think that's an arrogant thing to say, but realistically, with parachute payments, the fact we've been in the Premier League club for 3 years before coming down, and we have so far been able to keep hold of our better players, the objective's got to be high, because if we don't go up this season, it's only going to get about 10 times tougher the second season. You've seen it with West Brom. You've seen possibly with Norwich as well. They could easily get stuck in this league. So it is very high pressure this season for both of us, really, both teams.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you mentioned their automatic spots, automatic promotion spots, Oscar. Obviously, as you weren't with us last week, could you give us a place in the table, first, second, are you thinking, as it stands?
No, we won't get the automatic promotion. We'll finish third. What we always do. I'm saying the targets that we never hit our targets, Locks. Don't be silly, man. We wouldn't be in this league if we did. I'll say thirds. I'm hoping we can push, but I have a feeling, certainly Southampton, I think, have got such good balance. I know we've had this little debate between ourselves, Locks, about Southampton, but I just think they've got a really nice balance to him. Russell Martin, Championship experience as well. But I think Leicester as well, if they do get another winger in from that right-hand side, all of a sudden you're looking at a really, really good front three.
What's his name, Oscar? How'd you say his name? The winger from Palace?
I can't. JRS, we'll call him.
Raksaki.
There we go. Well, that's not too hard. That's pretty easy, that is. I thought it would be more difficult.
It's the fact of getting mixed up so many times. I think it was going to be Malcolm I said earlier on today, but it was JRS, Raksaki then, Raksaki.
Yeah, I know a couple of people who've been calling him Raksu, like the ones off X Factor a few years back. So that's an interesting one.
And my prediction, third, hoping we can at least push for automatics. But I just think we've got one or two areas that we're weak in, and Leicester and Southampton look quite complete at this moment in time.
Yeah, well, let's get straight onto the fixtures. You mentioned Southampton there, Oscar. Southampton versus Sheffield, or Sheffield Wednesday versus Southampton is the first game of the Championship season tomorrow night at, is it 7:30? What's kickoff? Do you know?
7:45, I think.
7:45, I think.
7:45,
yeah. There's subtle changes, isn't there, to the Premier League time? I know, like, Leicester are playing 12 o'clock on Sunday, which is like, that's a bit early, 12 o'clock instead of 12:30. So, I'll start with you, Chris, mate. I mean, obviously, we spoke last week about Southampton. Look like they've got a strong squad. We mentioned about will they keep hold of Ward-Prowse. Livramento looks like he's now on his way out to Newcastle. I don't know. I'm guessing he won't be involved in the squad against tomorrow night. So, as it stands with the current squad, are you expecting them to win comfortably tomorrow night?
No.
Okay.
I'm not. As I said last week, Russell Martin is a notorious slow starter. I think it's all set up on a Friday night for Sheffield United, the Hillsborough, to be absolutely rocking. I don't expect them to win. In fact, I expect them to lose. Sheffield Wednesday have had a much better preseason than Southampton have. Southampton have only won once all preseason. I think they beat Reading, but they've lost, I think, every other game. I honestly it sort of feels like, do you know when the Premier League always schedule like Wenger's Arsenal to fail on a late night at Crystal Palace? That's what it feels like, except Championship version. So yeah, I'm not backing them. And I don't back them to get promoted either.
Well, I mean, I know you make a good point, obviously, about the fixture schedule. I was very worried and Oscar, you would have been the same about one of us being the first game on that Friday night. So I'm glad it's not us, to be honest with you. Would you agree with Chris, Oscar, that it could be setting Southampton up to fail, or do you think do you think they'll get on okay?
It's an interesting one, because normally in those Friday night games, as kind of Chris is alluding to, you normally see the newly relegated team struggle a little bit. And I remember Newcastle losing at Fulham a few years back, and then social media having an absolute onslaught saying, "Oh, that's it, Newcastle are stuck in the Championship for the rest of eternity." And then they basically went up by about 20 points and won every game after that. You just sometimes see it on the first day, some shock results, and there is bound to be some. And normally I'd say going to Sheffield Wednesday away is a tough game, but Sheffield Wednesday are in a mess. They are in a mess, a gigantic mess. I mean, the whole press conference of the new manager was spent just basically having a go at Carlton Palmer. That was like the whole press conference. The Sheffield Wednesday owner just took the whole time to have a go at Carlton Palmer. He cannot take criticism. Bad decision for me, sacking Darren Moore, I do think. I think obviously there was a little bit of fortune about how they went up, but ultimately he did what he was there to do. Is Cisco Mano a bit of an upgrade? I don't think so. I think obviously he did great at Watford. Well, did he do great at Watford, or was it the fact he had Ismail Assar and João Pedro in his squad and got the best out of them? Either way, I'm not convinced by that Sheffield Wednesday appointment. I do think Sheffield Wednesday are one of the teams that could really, really struggle this season. And I just think if Southampton score early, the fact that he'd like to keep the ball so much is going to quieten the crowd down pretty early. I don't think that Sheffield Wednesday crowd is particularly happy in the first place at the way the club's being ran. And we know with the Championship, when you can get a home crowd toxic, it really can become a home game for the away team all of a sudden. And I just think that will happen for Southampton. Normally in a game like this, it's a very tight game. But I actually think Southampton will batter Sheffield Wednesday tomorrow, to be honest. I'd actually use those words. I think 3-0.
Okay. Chris, just remind me.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope Sheffield Wednesday do something for us.
Well, yeah. That would be handy. Chris, let Oscar know, what position did you have Southampton to finish this season?
Seventh.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's bold. It's bold.
I would love that, to be fair.
To be honest, I don't see anything else but happening, because people say Russell Martin's got Championship experience. He's got experience of being mid. Like, he, for the whole of his career, he's not finished higher than 10th, I don't think, as a manager.
But Swansea were. I'm not going to claim to be an expert on the Championship, but Swansea were a bit of a mess the last 2 years. Am I right in saying? Yeah,
like there's been. It was a tough job to take on, 100%. But the job he did at MK Dons, vastly overrated. Vastly overrated. I don't particularly rate him as a manager, if I'm being honest. I think it's all very pretty, but so inconsistent, which is like, in the Championship, you have to have that balance. Like, look at Company's Burnley. Sometimes they were really, really pretty. Other times they were, nitty gritty and horrible. And that's what you need to be. I don't think he's got the capacity to be horrible, or he hasn't developed that yet. But Southampton could be the place it happens. It's a great club with a great infrastructure and good fan base as well.
It's weird because he was such a horrible player, Russell Martin, as well, when he played for Norwich. He was a horrible player to come up against in the Championship and League One.
Yeah, I mean, are you impressed with their signing so far, Oscar? Obviously, Manning was a player that a lot of Leeds fans wanted and thought they might get. Obviously, you've got the young lad from Man City. I always forget his name. Is it
Charles? Yeah.
Charles. So, are you impressed with them, Oscar? Those signings so far?
It's not even so much the signings; it's the more the players they've kept hold of so far. Now, obviously, they're going to definitely lose Lavia, I think. Probably on the balance of probability, will lose James Ward-Prowse, but they've still got people like Joe Aribo there in the team. I think Livramento's gone, but again, you say Livramento's gone, but they've got Kyle Walker-Peters. They've got Ryan Manning on the other side. So that's two really, really good fullbacks at Championship level. But I do really hope Chris is right, and it wouldn't surprise me. We've seen it before with teams at this level where they've got hyped up a little bit. They've brought in a manager from lower down the league and thought straight away that he did well in the lower bits of the league with better players. He's going to do great straight away. It doesn't always work like that. I think it will on this occasion. I hope I'm wrong. I do think it will. I could see a bit of a slow start, but yeah, I just think with Southampton, the players have kept hold of. On the wings as well. Sulemena. Again, I might have murdered his name there. But again, the goal he scored against Liverpool, that is someone who should not be playing Championship football in any sense. Shea Charles as well, absolutely insane signing based on what Man City fans are saying about him. So yeah, I think, but the other side of it, as Chris has said, there will be times where, say, Millwall away, where with a younger squad, quite a nice squad, they might come unstuck from time to time. But I just think the players that kept hold of, it gives them a bit of an edge over us and Leicester, to be totally honest with you.
It looks like Shea Charles might be playing centre-back as well, which is, in the last couple of games of pre-season, Russell Martin started playing him there,
Really?
which is interesting. Yeah, because he's a midfielder. So it's a strange one, but maybe he sees
more of an attacking midfielder.
Yeah, they started playing him like at centre-back, which is mental. So it could be interesting to see how that shapes up, especially if he's not like ever done it before. Maybe he sees him as a really good ball playing centre back. I just don't know.
Well, Oscar, you went with, I think, 3-0, didn't you? Southampton.
I might change that prediction now.
No, you're sticking with that one now, mate.
I'll stick with it.
Chris, did you give me one? If not, what's
I didn't. I'm going to go 2-1 Sheffield Wednesday.
Okay, nice. I've gone 2-0 Southampton, so I'm kind of with Oscar. Next up, the next game we chose to look at is, well, Brad's not here now, but we'll carry on with it. It's Plymouth versus Huddersfield, which might be an interesting one. So start with you, Oscar. I mean, you might be like me. You've probably got more knowledge on the Championship than I have, mate. But like, I struggle with games like this. New back into the league. I'm just like, I don't know what to expect. So I'll hand it over to you, Oscar, mate. What are your thoughts on this one?
Well, obviously Plymouth. I mean, League One was easy for them. They were playing on easy mode in League One last season. I mean, 102 points is just absolute insanity. And the fact they only just won the league is absolutely crazy as well. I don't know if we're going to cover Ipswich on this programme either. We're not covering Ipswich, are we, today?
No, not today, no.
Both of those teams, I think, will be fine in the Championship. I'm not sure I've got them as high as what other people have got them. I've seen people put like Plymouth in the playoffs. I think maybe calm it down a little bit. But yeah, I think they'll be okay, both those teams. But Plymouth, yeah, the fact there's Neil Warnock's got a bit of history with them. I think he still lives in the area. It's always interesting. Obviously, Huddersfield finished the season really well to stay up. I think draw. This has got a bit of a draw written all over it. I don't think it'll be a particularly great game of football, but it feels like a 1-1 kind of draw to me. I think Huddersfield, the fact they haven't made the signing, I think they literally haven't made the signing. I think I'm right in saying. I think they brought a couple of people in on.
I think they got in a backup keeper, and that's it.
Yeah. Backup keeper, yeah. I was thinking I might have gone a bit too literal there, but yeah, I don't think they've done a lot. They've not done enough for what they needed to do. But whether Warnock can produce another miracle, but I think normally after a while of Warnock, it does start to sort of tail off a little bit. I think first sort of 6 or 7 months, you can get insane results, but then it might start to tail off if you don't get that investment on top of it. So I'll say 1-1. I don't think Huddersfield will continue the momentum from last season, but I also don't think they'll go down either.
Just a quick one. Richard in the chat is asking about where we think people will finish. Richard, once you finish this show, if you want, go back to last Thursday on the channel, and it was Chris, Brad, and I. We discussed all of this, so go check that out afterwards. Chris, I'll come to you next. Obviously, Plymouth, Huddersfield. Thoughts on this one? Do you give? Obviously, Brad's not here to defend himself. If you wanna say Plymouth are going to win, but yeah, what do you think of this one?
I do. I to be honest, Plymouth were beautiful in League One. Absolutely rinsed it. A team that shouldn't really have won League One. I mean, the size of clubs in that league, Barnsley, Sheffield Wednesday, teams who are, mammoth in comparison, but they really made themselves, showed themselves to be real top tacticians and some great young players. Morgan Whittaker is the main one. As I said, he's one of the main reasons I think they'll stay up. But he was at Swansea when I did a bit of writing on them, and he was like incredible. Like he scored a hat trick in a cup game. He just never really got the opportunities, and he is getting it now. Finn Azaz as well has just signed. Was brilliant in the lower leagues with Newport County. Top, attacking midfielder. I worry. The only reason I'm not worried about Huddersfield is because of the man in charge. If he wasn't there, there would be trouble. I think he is literally the Championship magic man. They will be fine. I think as Oscar said, I'll probably say 1-1, just because I don't think Plymouth will be able to really have the wit, and Stephen Schumacher won't really have the wit to outsmart Neil Warnock, because he is Neil Warnock.
Can I just say, I think Leeds fans are the only fans in this Championship who have had Neil Warnock manage them and not been satisfied in any sense of the word. I mean, Neil Warnock literally. I don't honestly. It's so far sound mad, Chris, because obviously he did do unreal at Cardiff. He did unreal at QPR. He's done unreal everywhere he's been. It's just the typical Leeds United. We are a cursed club when it comes to managers. But he did.
In like the early years of your owner, your previous owner, I can't remember his name.
Yeah, so it was in between owners. So Ken Bates actually appointed him. I think Ken Bates then sold the club about 2 or 3 months into Neil Warnock's spell in charge, and then GFH came in and basically didn't have a pot to what in, and yeah, it just went horribly wrong. But I mean, some of the signings were just not kind of suited to Leeds United at all. I mean, replacing Luciano Becchio with Steve Morrison, selling people like Robert Snodgrass and bringing in Paul Green, just things like that. It was just like, it did feel like a bit of a Neil Warnock ego trip that I can do it at Leeds United as much as any club. And it was just like, you could tell sort of 2 weeks in, yeah, this isn't going to work. And it lasted for a year. And it did take us a long time to recover from that. It might sound like an exaggeration, but yeah, he will get a lot of stick when we play Huddersfield next season.
Well, Oscar,
and he'll probably beat us because he always does.
Oscar, you said I think 1-1, didn't you? I also wrote down 1-1 earlier on, so I'm going with that. And Chris, what are you going for?
Mate. 3-1 alls.
3-1 alls. Well, I wonder what Brad would have said. I should have just asked him to give his predictions, but he probably would have said 2-0 Huddersfield or something like that. Moving on to a title contender or promotion contender next, Middlesbrough. After a good season last year, can they build on it? We spoke about that last week. I'll start with you, Oscar. Middlesbrough against Millwall. Do you think Middlesbrough can start strong this season, and how far do you think they can go?
I think they're clearly a really, really good team. I think the football they play, Hayden Hackney is someone I really, really like. I think if we were in the Premier League, I'd be saying absolutely all day, every day, go and sign him, an actual ball-playing midfielder. He is a really, really good player. Obviously, can Akpom produce what he did last season? I think it'll be tough to replicate that. But again, I'd expect him to still at least get about half, maybe even 3/4 of the goals he got last season. I think he's a player playing full of confidence. Sort of in that 10 role, if I'm right in saying, Chris. He's not actually playing as an out-and-out centre forward. Yeah, he's playing like behind the centre forward. Yeah, it's an interesting one. They have added some nice players as well, more defensively than attack-minded players. But again, I think they have no problem creating chances. Carrick made a big impact. And really, I think if Carrick had started the season there, I think they would have beaten Sheffield United to that top 2 spot. I think he just came in a bit too late. And there's a few times as well in April where it looked like they were going to close it. And I think they got within a point at one point, and then of Sheffield United, and then it just completely kind of imploded for them. And then it carried on into the playoffs as well. Sometimes you do see a bit of a playoff hangover. I don't think that'll be the case with Borough. I think they've kept hold of the players they needed to keep hold of, Hackney and Akpom for starters. Yes, they haven't got Archer back, but I think they can recover from that. I think if you get any half-decent centre forward in that team, they will score goals, so the amount of chances they create. Do I think they'll get top 2? I still think they're short on what Leicester are at and what Southampton are at and what hopefully Leeds are at in terms of out-and-out quality across the team. But Michael Carrick, I think is the most. If anyone's going to break the teams that have come down, say Leicester and Southampton, it's going to be Borough for me. I really do think it'll be Borough. If it's going to be anyone, Borough or maybe Sunderland. But having said all that, I think they'll struggle a little bit against Millwall. I think it's a tough game to start your season with. I'll go for a 1-1. I think it's a tough game, Matt, to start with, Millwall at home. I just see Millwall scoring from a set piece. Borough will dominate the game, and Millwall scoring like the 90th minute or something. It'll be like a 1-1.
Well, I've gone for game of the weekend for this one in terms of the scoreline. I've gone for 2-2, so another draw like you, Oscar. Middlesbrough.
I thought I was going to be on my own in that shout.
Yeah, I'm guessing a lot of people will have Middlesbrough to win this one. So let's see what Chris has got for it.
Akpom's injured, so that's probably not a good start for Middlesbrough.
Okay.
Obviously so key last season, out of nowhere, by the way, incredible. That for me, I think you can tell how good a manager is if he improves what he's already got, and that for me is a prime example of why Michael Carrick is a top manager. They brought in Silvera from Central Coast Mariners. Now, I can't profess to know very much about him. But what I will say is everyone in Australia is going mental about this bloke. So, top class left winger. Morgan Rogers as well, from Manchester City, was on loan at Bournemouth, didn't really have the greatest time. I worry for Middlesbrough. Millwall, as Oscar said, extremely tough. Could nick a goal from a set piece. I'm going 1-0 Millwall.
Wow, that's...
Well, Oscar, we spoke about this last week. I can't remember if it was Chris or Brad, or might have been both who had.
I had Borough to go up. But I still think Millwall will beat them.
Who was it who had Millwall in the playoffs? Was that Brad? I think Brad might have.
That was
Millwall.
Brad, yeah.
So yeah, Oscar.
Brad knocking on the door though, Millwall. Let's not sleep on Millwall. I mean, they have been knocking on the door for the playoffs the last 2 or 3 years, I think.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. Do you any give them much hope there, Oscar? Could they break into the top 6 this season?
I've said it a couple of times. It'd be a recurring theme. I just think, especially Leicester Southampton, I just think last season you had Norwich come down, were a complete mess. Watford came down, were a complete mess. You had 2 spots there freed up automatically. I think this season, your quality-wise, it's a lot higher than what it was last season for the top 6. So I'll say no, but I think they're not going to be miles off. Probably like sort of 9th, 10th. They'll be in with a shout for most of the season. I think. I would not be surprised if they get top 6 at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was 1 point last season, wasn't it, Chris? They were 1 point off the top.
They should have got it because they were winning against Blackburn Rovers, and then Blackburn came back and beat them to get into the playoffs.
Was that the 4-3 game?
Getting into the playoffs, yeah, it was like 4-3.
Yeah. That was a crazy bottle, that, yeah.
So they would have got it if they had actually held their nerve, which is again an amazing achievement for a club that hasn't got the budget anywhere near the top clubs, especially the clubs that, like as you mentioned, Norwich and Watford came down. Parachute payments can always get parachute payments because they're always getting relegated. So yeah, I rate their chances, but at the same time, like, do they have the quality of the others? As Oscar said, absolutely not.
Yeah, well, I think that's 1-1. Oscar said 1-1. Did you, Oscar? Yeah, 1-1, 2-2, and 1-0 Millwall. Chris has gone with. The next game, these two here either side of me had a little moan about it before we started. A little sigh over it. Watford QPR would have been a good fixture a few years ago, to be fair. So let's talk about it now. I'll start with you this time, Chris. Well, I'll give my prediction actually. I've gone 2-0 Watford. Not really bothered by either of them. Don't really think QPR definitely won't be pushing for top 6. I don't think Watford will be either. But I've gone 2-0 Watford. I think QPR are just rubbish. And I hope Leicester sign Ilish Chair. So I'm hoping for a really bad start from QPR and Ilish Chair's demanding a move or something like that. But Chris, over to you first.
QPR are honking, to be fair. Yeah. But again, it wouldn't surprise me if they stayed up. I love Gareth Ainsworth, man. Absolutely adore him. He did a great job last season keeping them up. As you mentioned, lost Seni Dieng, and they brought in 36-year-old Asmir Begovic to replace him, who, by the way, is in the Welsh Snooker Tour Fantasy League. So I'll send a link to you boys of that one. So if you want to get on that. But yeah, lovely guy, 36 years old though, probably a little bit past it. Jack Colback as well. Did a great job with Nottingham Forest. Played everywhere. Played in the back four, played in midfield, and played on the right hand side as well. I just don't think they've got hardly anything in attack really. Chris Willock's a good little player. Chair obviously is a good player. Whether they can be asked to be playing Gareth Ainsworth ball, I'm not too sure. Watford is strange because obviously we'd associate Watford for being this yo-yo club, but they've lost two Premier League, middling Premier League standard players in Pedro and Sarr, and they couldn't even go up with them. So they're in. They've replaced him with Tom Ince. So it's just going to be crap, isn't it? 0-0. I'm saying 0-0.
0-0. Well, there we go. Oscar, what are you going with, mate? You've had 2 draws in a row. Is this a third, or are you going for a Watford win?
I'll say Watford win. I just think QPR, the fact Dickey's left as well, I think it's a big loss. I think a big game for Bristol City as well, that one. So yeah, I just think defensively, I don't think it'll be a good game in any sense, but I do think Watford probably will just about have enough. Ishmael's is an interesting appointment because he did really well at Barnsley, pretty bad at West Brom, and I think he's had a pretty bad spell since West Brom as well. So it'll be an interesting one. But sometimes Watford do make an appointment like that, and all of a sudden they do really well. But I can't see it with Watford this time. I just think they are strapped in for sort of a mid-table, probably 3 or 4 managers season again, really. I think the biggest shock would be as much as it sounds quite a horrible thing to say, it'd be a bigger shock if they haven't sacked a manager by Christmas than anything, really. Honestly, that would be the biggest shock of Watford next season. And I think probably what they should aim to do is try and go through 1, maybe 2 managers in the season. Just as a target. That could be the target, but I'll go 2-1 Watford.
Chris, that's a category I forgot to even bring into it last week. Who are you going with for first manager sacked? Are you going for Watford, or what are you thinking?
Got to be, isn't it? I mean, what? How long are we giving him? 3 weeks? If they lose their first 3 games, do not be surprised. Honestly, and it could happen. It could genuinely happen. They whiff. So yeah.
Oscar, first manager to be sacked.
If in doubt, go with Watford.
It's like the free pass, isn't it, really?
If you have to put your house on something like that, you just go with Watford.
Yeah.
Make it easy for yourself. I mean, I want to talk. I mean, Leeds had 4 different managers last season. 3, but plus a caretaker. So I can't really talk that much. But yeah, I'll go Watford.
And as a show, we should have a bet, and whoever gets closest to the date of when Valerian Ismail gets sacked gets the collection. Because I'm going 10th of October. Bang on. He's gone. He's gone by then.
What date are we on today? 3rd of August. So Saturday the 5th. Sunday the 6th. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. That's a good shout, October. I'll go for 30th of September.
Oh, I was going to go with
that,
mate.
Bad.
I'll go 29th. I'll go 29th of September, and then obviously
outrageous that. I don't even know what day it is.
Picking. That is shocking.
Shocking behaviour. That.
Just a quick one. Jam plays. Thanks for the super chat. 0-0 out of your mind for Watford QPR. I don't think Chris. You might be close to that one. I think you might be close. I've gone 1-0. I've gone 1-0 Watford.
I think a better bet is how many seconds on the Championship highlights will that game get?
Ooh,
if that game gets more than 30 seconds, I will be surprised.
That would definitely be a bit on the old football league show. That would be at the bottom. Yeah, it's
that's getting put whilst the credits are on. That's getting played over the credits kind of thing.
Jam plays. Are you a Watford fan or something? I can't remember.
He's got a great profile picture though. Elite Pokemon.
Yeah, I can't remember if Jam. I don't know if I've seen Jam on here before. So yeah. Now we're going to move on to the big boys. The big boys. We'll include Cardiff in that as well if you want, Chris. We'll start with. Well, we'll go in chronological order. So Leicester against Coventry. I'm excited for this one. I mean, like I said before, I'm just glad football's back. I might regret saying this. I might, hate it come Sunday evening, especially with all the stick that I've given a certain couple Leeds fans in a group chat. So, and to be fair, I think like there must be about 500 Leeds fans online that have got it out for me at the minute, just from.
Because you keep saying Harry Winks is the best midfielder in the Championship. A ball hasn't even been kicked yet.
I don't. I'm not saying he's the best in the Championship. I'm just saying he's better.
You didn't say he was the best. You said he was in the top 1, to be specific.
No, I said top 3. To be fair, I did say top 3, which.
Top 3.
He should be the best. Really, he should be. Like
he should be, Oscar. He should be the best.
Why? On what basis?
I mean, he played top level.
Is he even best as best midfielder? I think Kieran Dewsbury Hall's a better player.
Technically, Harry Winks is a better player than.
Yeah, but all rounders say Dewsbury Hall in the Championship will do better.
We'll see.
I'm seeing a lot of Leicester fans getting worried because our pre-season has been shocking. Just to offer some context, obviously we got relegated.
Thanks for the update.
That's where it started. This is what story time starts. We got relegated a while ago now, and we had a tour around Asia where we played. We were meant to play Tottenham, Liverpool in Singapore. The Tottenham game never even went ahead because of rain. We decided to play in a stadium without a roof during monsoon season, so that was a good call. And then we played someone called Port FC, not Porto, Port FC, which I think are a bunch of amateurs. We played Peterborough a bit earlier on behind.
What was the result on that one? We just want the result on that Port game.
We won 1-0. We won 1-0, to be fair. Yeah, it's a win, though, mate. It's a win. Every win counts.
They all count.
We beat Northampton 1-0, I think. We beat our sister club 4-1, 4-2. But a lot of Leicester fans are not as positive as they were at the start, just because of how poor the preseason's been in terms of planning and the miles on the clock and stuff. But I'm still confident. I mean, Oscar, last week, you know this anyway, because I've said it in the chat. I call Leicester to win the title and break the points record. So that would need to be 107 points, I believe. And I think we'll start quite strongly this weekend.
Was that a serious prediction? You actually think you get 107 points?
Yeah.
I mean, we all saw how good Burnley were, and what were Burnley in the end, Chris? Were they 99 points?
99, I think, yeah.
So they were that good, Burnley, for like almost the whole season. They still finished 7 points short of it.
Yeah,
8 points short, sorry.
Mate, you don't need to tell me how stupid it is, but I'm sticking with it. I've said it twice now. I've said it on two different well, this is the third time now. So
I'll let you have like Vardy or Iheanacho to get like 30 goals next season, but I'm not. No, you're not getting 107 points.
This is an interesting one.
101 Burnley got 101.
Indeed, he will be top scorer in the Championship with where he's been playing.
You're number 10. I watched the Liverpool game. I watched the Liverpool Leicester game, and
the first 20 minutes, Chris. The first 20 minutes, we were good.
You look quite good, and then obviously you're playing Liverpool, so it's not going to be easy. But it just sort of folded into. And also that away kit. Have you got it on right now?
Yeah. What's wrong with it? It's nice.
It's grim. It's grim. That. Why does the
sash? You're not getting 107 points in that. You're not getting 107 points in a kit like that.
Completed. That's so annoying. Like it just stops. What is the sash not going over?
Have you seen the third kit as well? It looks like Wolves, especially with Connor Cody in it.
I love the third kit, man. It does.
Oh, mate, this is it's like historic for us anyway.
Our first third kit. That should be the third kit.
Well, our first ever kit was black with this sash, like in 1884, and then we've had it a couple times since. So it's just like a little nostalgia thing.
That's all right then, but it still needs the sash is like not being complete. Really does my head in.
Yeah. Oh, I can't even. There we go. Yeah. Well, you think it should join the stripes?
I think they should like move the Adidas logos, but like they'll never do that.
No. Yeah, I get what you mean. But anyway, back to the football. I'm going 3-1. I'm going 3-1 Leicester. I think there's still some frailties at the back for Leicester. Chris, you saw it firsthand when you watched Liverpool Leicester. I'm not saying we're gonna, finish most clean sheets this season because I think we'll probably be 6th, 7th, 8th for that maybe. But
I've got a different view on Leicester. I think it will come together eventually for Leicester defensively, because I think they just keep the ball that much in games that teams will hardly get. You're gonna average most games sort of 65-70% of the ball. Most teams in the Championship haven't got great attacking options anyway. So if you give them even less of the ball, you probably will keep a lot of not because you're going to be particularly outstanding defensively. Although I do think Doyle is a really, really good signing. I think he could be the best defender in the Championship potentially this season. Potentially could do that, but I just think you'll keep the ball that well. You won't see that many goals. You'll probably win a lot of games like 1-0 and grind it out.
I mean, I know, Oscar, you kind of, I can't remember. I think you're one of the ones to doubt Cody a little bit, I think.
Yeah, it's the back four tax thing, isn't it? You know, the lights are very bright for Colin Cody when he goes into a back four. It can't be denied. But I don't know. I think as well with what he's got in front of him, that's a pretty decent midfield. Quite a hard working midfield in terms of Ndidi, Dewsbury Hall. I think you'll press well. I just think that's the way you'll defend, really, by keeping the ball rather than, being particularly great out of possession. I just think you'll keep it that much. You won't be particularly good. If that makes sense, I kind of worded that horrifically, but a bit like Burnley last season. I mean, Burnley went up with Charlie Taylor playing centre-back quite often, so, it can be done kind of thing. I think they had Bailey Peacock Farrell goal in some games. I mean, that shows if you can keep the ball well, you're not going to concede that many goals, but I think that'd be a big thing for Leicester. I think teams will sit off you a lot as well. You'd be mad if you went toe-to-toe with Leicester.
What was that, Chris?
Is Conor Cody even fit?
No, he got injured the other day. Well, last week.
I thought.
Conor Cody has never had an injury in his career. He's never missed a game because of injury. Never in his whole career, he's never missed a game because of injury.
Until now.
Until he joined Leicester. Yeah, it's crazy, mate. It's crazy.
He's got a severe case of Johnny Evans-itis.
I know. Oh, don't, mate. Don't even get... Because this is what everyone's laughing at. With him, he's now signed, obviously, a deal at Man United. He'll probably have an injury-free season now, Johnny Evans will. But yeah, I've gone 3-1. Leicester. Oscar, what are you saying for this one, mate? Are you thinking Leicester will get...
Leicester. 2-1.
So you think we'll get the win. Over to you, Chris.
Is it Vestergaard at centre-back?
That's a point, actually. That is a big point.
Yeah, it will be Doyle, it will be Fass, and it might be Vestergaard. Yeah.
Oh, right. My prediction has a caveat. If Vestergaard's playing 2-1 Coventry, if he's not, 2-0 Leicester.
Okay.
I think Ellis Sims will absolutely rinse him.
Do you not think he might be, I don't want to be disrespectful to the Championship or to Vestergaard, really, but you don't think he might do well at this level?
No,
Oscar?
No. I just think
I think it'd be fourth choice. I think you say about Cody. I don't think Cody will play that much. To be honest with you, I think it'd be Fars and Doyle, centre backs.
Well, Harry Suter is barely. He's barely.
I forget about Harry Suter. Yeah, so he's like 50 Vestergaard. So I've said about Cody. I don't think that will end up being a good signing because you're probably going to play a back four. I think you're toying with the idea of back three and possession in that lot, but I think it will become a back four when you're defending in that lot as well. So, I think it'll be fine in that regard. I think Suter, Doyle, I think will do fine at Championship level. Yeah, I really do. I can't see it having any problems, really.
I'll say 2-0 Leicester. I'll say 2-0.
You're going with that? Yeah, and yeah. I can't have two. I need one score prediction because I'm going to make a note. So I'll be happy. We've all gone for a Leicester win, so that's good. And then over to the last game that we're going to be talking about tonight, and that is Leeds versus Cardiff. So, Oscar, you're the last of the relegated teams to play. So I'm sure you'll be watching the Southampton game and the Leicester game with interest. And then when it finally comes to your game against Cardiff, what are you thinking? What are your expectations for it?
I think expectations and reality are two very, very different things. I mean, you look at it logically, and I really don't want to come across as arrogant, Chris, but I just want to say something here. Sinisterra and Nonto could potentially start that game. We really should be causing big, big problems in that game. We should be, logically. I don't think we will, because it doesn't tend to work like that in the Championship. And I think we have very much not planned well for this season at all. I think we will be rusty on Sunday, and I think it will be a tough game. I think Cardiff, were great against us at Cardiff last season in the FA Cup. We did beat them at Ellen Road, but we did have to put the big guns out in that game, and they did make the difference ultimately. But you look at it logically, you say Sinisterra, Nonto, Rutter hopefully starting the game as well, and Purdue in midfield, we should have enough to win this game, and relatively comfortably, but I don't think we will. I think it'll be a real grind. I could even see Cardiff getting a result, to be honest. I will go 1-0 Leeds. I really don't think it'll be a pretty one at all. Daniel Farke teams, I'm happy with the appointment of Daniel Farke, but his teams do tend to start quite slowly. Even in the seasons they won the league with Norwich, he won the league with Norwich, I think they've not taken more than 7 points from the first 4 games at all in either season. So, and the first season, 2018-2019, Norwich were absolutely diabolical first 5 or 6 games that season. So much so, a lot of people forget this. Daniel Farke could quite easily been sacked after we beat them 3-0 right at the start of that season under Marcelo Bielsa. So I'm under no illusions his teams take time to get going. We've been decent in pre-season. We've won 2, lost 2. Although the games we did lose were Man United and Monaco. We actually did give a good account of ourselves in both games. But we haven't really played a team other than Hearts that have sat back against us. I think Cardiff will sit back a little bit against us and try and hit us on the counter or play long balls and target our shorter centre-backs. Because if we don't start Charlie Creswell, I think we've got a problem there as well. I think aerially, I just don't think Stewart and Cooper are dominant enough. I really do think if we don't start Creswell, set pieces, flick-ons could be a massive problem for us. So we shouldn't be, no disrespect to Cardiff at all, we shouldn't be really looking at this game and thinking it'll be a challenge, but I think it really will be. I really do think there is, I just don't think we're totally ready for it, to be honest with you. I really don't think we're totally ready for it. I do feel we're going to start slowly, and that's ultimately why I had us down as 3rd.
So 1-0 Leeds, though, you go in Oscar, yeah?
Yeah.
Just before I go to Chris, which Leeds player was it I saw with crutches on social media today? I saw a photo of
Matteo Joseph, who's possibly going to start this game because Rutter, I think, is the most likely to be fit. I don't think Bamford will be fit. I don't think Joseph will be fit either. So, again, though, I think Rutter's done okay at centre-forward. I think we do need a centre-forward as well. There's no doubt about that. But, again, we should still be okay on goals. Logically, when you've got the wide players that we've got, it really is crazy that we made such hard work of it against Hearts, in pre-season, really. So I really don't know what to expect. It wouldn't surprise me as well if we come out firing. We have done this before, where we started the new season and come out firing. I think against Bristol City, last time we went up, I didn't feel particularly hopeful going into that one either. And we were like 3 up in 40 minutes. So I really don't know what to expect, but I'll go down the middle. I'll go down the middle and go for like a really, really nasty, horrible, disgusting 1-0 win.
Over to you, Chris. Obviously, just because we haven't mentioned it today, Chris is a Liverpool fan, but he, out of all the teams in the Championship, obviously you live in Cardiff. You've got affiliations.
Just love Cardiff, to be fair.
Yeah.
I'm a big. People say I'm a plastic Cardiff fan. Like, I don't think those exist.
I didn't say. How you be a plastic Championship fan?
Exactly. I know. And also,
how does that work?
Exactly. So I actually went to watch Cardiff v Leeds last season in the Cup, and it was thoroughly entertaining. Obviously, we're talking Jesse Marsh's Leeds, and being honest, Cardiff should have won. They should have held on and won that game, but obviously Sonny Perkins scored a goal very, very late on. I don't know what to think going into this game, to be honest. As Oscar mentioned, Sinisterra and Nonto. I earmark Sinisterra to be probably the best player in the Championship, period, right now. If he continues what he showed at Feyenoord, he literally lit up the Europa Conference League.
The biggest thing with Sinisterra is staying fit. That's the biggest thing. I think that's the only doubt I have about it. I think he could easily, I don't know if you remember, Chris, Locks is a bit younger than me, so he might not remember, but Adel Tarat at QPR Championship.
I remember, yeah.
Potentially, that's what Sinisterra could do next season. It might sound crazy, but I genuinely think it could be that good. But can he stay fit is the biggest thing, and he's going to get absolutely so much attention from Championship fullbacks, where they're going to be aware that his knees are a little bit dodgy. That first tackle in every single game, the first 5 minutes, is going to be hard on Sinisterra. I'm telling you now.
in terms of Cardiff, I mean, signed some pretty rock solid defenders, especially Dimitrios Gutas. I mean, he is an absolute unit, to be honest, and someone who I think Leeds fans might be a little bit scared of, might get involved a bit too much with Sinisterra. But no, Cardiff have added Josh Bowler to their ranks. Now, obviously, he had a really, really good season with Blackpool a few years ago. Not particularly great in his last couple of moves, but a good loan signing. Could work, might not work, who knows. Errol Bullock, I think it's sort of a clean slate for Cardiff as a whole. Aaron Ramsey coming in is such a good feel good factor. I honestly don't know what to expect. I think on the whole, Leeds should win. And therefore I'm going to say 2-1 Leeds, but it would not surprise me if Cardiff soaked up the pressure, counter-attacked, and punished them, because they've got some exceptional attacking players. I said last week, Carlan Grant's an outside shout for the Golden Boot this season. I think if Cardiff play to his strengths, and as Brad said as well, he could be probably one of the best signings that Cardiff have made in recent years. So I don't know what's going to happen. Therefore, I'm going to do exactly what Oscar did and go for a very narrow win. So 2-1 to Leeds.
Are we going to see?
That's it. I mean, on all the games with Mike on the, I'm feel quite sure of predictions, but this one's the one. I think you always like that with your own team, but it is a scale. I could see us winning heavily, and Sinisterra and Nonto absolutely cooking. But if they're at 10 out of 10, if they are at 10 out of 10 on Sunday, it should be one where you're looking at both players and saying both could score, both could get assists, etc., etc. And it could be quite a handsome win. The other side of it is, I look at the Aaron Ramsey signing as well and think, you never know how that's going to go, but he could you don't become a poor player overnight. You really, really don't become a poor player overnight. And I do rate the signing for Cardiff. It's the fact that emotionally he seems to have he's got a massive affinity with the club, obviously. And I've just seen Aaron Ramsey when he's plays for Wales, there is still a really, really, really good player in there. I think a Premier League quality player in there still. So if you can get 30 games or so like that in the Championship, it could be a sign that propels Cardiff up the league. And I'm right in saying the new coach has got a bit of a reputation for being a bit of a specialist in terms of getting the most out of teams with limited budgets. Am I right in saying?
Yeah, Errol Bullock, he certainly has done. I mean, he's been everywhere in Turkey. And yeah, he's a coach, and he's also is a big emphasis on feel good factors, which I think is really, because he was manager of Gaziantep previously, and they were like a really small team in Turkey, and he got them up into sort of near Europa League places like that, which is exceptional. So
I didn't have to forfeit the rest of the season or something.
Yeah, they did. It was a real convoluted situation, but having him come into Cardiff after the last couple of years of, after Mick McCarthy, you've had Steve Morrison and Mark Hudson, followed by Sabri Lamouchi, who did an okay job but would have got relegated if it wasn't for the fact Reading had a points deduction. It's a real change of culture, and I think a real feel good factor which will play in Errol Bullock's favour, in Aaron Ramsey coming in and emphasising that, and also, the fan base. If you get Cardiff fans on side, which is quite a difficult thing to do, then you're laughing, because they're one of the most loyal, supportive fan bases you'll find.
And is Aaron Ramsey just physically? It's just physically for me around Ramsey.
Is he fit? Is he gonna play?
Yeah, he's pretty set. He's set to play. He's played in pre-season.
Okay.
Technically, he's far too good for this league. Technically, for me, if he's got the fitness to go with it.
What do you think of Ampadu, Oscar?
I can't believe we got him. To be honest with you, I can't believe we got him. I think that'll be a really good.
Rubbish.
Chris don't like.
Wow! I mean, he's been absolute. Honestly, I can not exaggerate enough how good he's been in pre-season. I mean, he's stood out for us. Yeah, I mean, even more so than like Sinisterra and Nonto. Sinisterra and Nonto have actually been pretty quiet in pre-season, to be honest. I think they have been trying to. I think there's an element with Sinisterra and Nonto is they're trying not to get hurt in pre-season, because I think they're both quite aware that the tackles are flying in, especially at Hearts. I don't know if you saw some of the tackles that went in that game. Honestly,
I can imagine.
Horrific. Something like Bamford's probably injured for Cardiff off the back of that game. It was a physical game. That's nice to say. But yeah, Ampadu's been brilliant. I think he's definitely more of a midfielder than a centre back. I can see why because I think in Germany he was playing centre back, and it maybe wasn't. Sorry, not Germany. Italy he was playing centre back. He's definitely more of a midfielder for me. In a 2, I think he suits quite well. I don't think he's either a 6 or an 8. I think he's more of a double kind of pivot kind of midfielder who can do a little bit of defending and getting on the ball and spraying passes and that lot. I think he's a really solid signing for us. Honestly, I think he's been a really, really good addition to the team.
I had him down at the top of the season, so.
Yeah, I mean, we've had so many players like this. We've had so many false dawns. Honestly, Mark Roca last season, I was thinking he's going to get in the Spain World Cup squad, I think I said, after 2 games into the season. And then he dropped off like I don't know what. And now he's no closer to the Spain squad than what he was last summer. But yeah, it could happen. Honestly, I'm not going to get my hopes up too much at all this season. That's going to be the theme of it. After last season, I will not get my hopes up too much at all. After you've gone through Brendan Harrison,
3-0 on Sunday, who knows?
After you've had Brendan Harrison play for you, I mean, how good he was first couple of games to how bad he became, you do not get carried away at all. That's like a rule now for Leeds fans. You never ever get carried away with anything ever again. We could have appointed Pep, and I still wouldn't have got carried away this season.
Mate, you sold me a dream with Aronson. I even brought him into my FPL last season.
Oh, honestly, mate. If we're talking about pre-season, first 4 or 5 games, honestly, he wins that. He wins that player of the tournament, whatever you want to call it. He was. There's a thing with Aronson. You can go for July to August Aronson, and you go in like one of the better 10s in the league. You go from August onwards into September. You probably got someone who. I can't remember a thing he actually did on the pitch after September. I cannot name you one thing he did on a football pitch after September. He was so anonymous, it's untrue. It feels horrible saying this, but the thought of him against Cardiff or Millwall away, jeez. But yeah, it's
by Ryan Wintle.
It sounds harsh. But yeah, Ramsey and Ampadu I could see being a really good battle. I think obviously both know each other in the Wales team as well. I can see that being a nice little battle in the middle of the park, to be honest. And look, Aaron Ramsey could quite easily win that battle because of how good he is.
Well, you've both gone for narrow Leeds win. I've gone for 1-1. You know me, Oscar. I always go against Leeds. So only because of Joe, though. This is what I mean. It's just Joe. This is why I do it. I don't do it towards you or anything, Oscar. It's just.
I will say though, it sounds mad saying it. There's still 45 games to go. If one of us does slip up this week at the 3 promoted teams, that is a massive psychological boost to probably the rest of the league. Really, I'd say. Yeah, early doors. You see that little bit of vulnerability early doors. It could be a massive boost. That
you could definitely see one of the 3 slipping up, like 100%.
Yeah, exactly. I think it does definitely. I think psychologically, because we've then got Birmingham away after that, and that's all of a sudden if you going into that game off the back of not winning your first game,
Tom Brady's Birmingham.
High stakes.
Yeah,
Tom Brady's Birmingham City. Could
exactly
saying those words.
That's mental, isn't it? That is mental. All right then. Well, there's our predictions for the 6 fixtures that we chose. I'm going to be noting them down on everyone's prediction. I'm thinking 1 point for the result, 3 points for the right score. If we go with that,
right.
We'll do a table, and then obviously next Thursday we'll have it up. I'll try and get Brad's predictions as well before the fixture starts tomorrow. Chris and Oscar's the links to both Stonage. I'm saying it right this time, and All Leeds TV. The links are in the description. Oscar, what have you got coming up now in the next couple of days leading up to the game?
Well, in the next half an hour, I'm actually live doing a quick season preview. So if you want to see a slightly angry Oscar, then do head over in half an hour. Because I'm a bit fuming, to be honest, with 1 or 2 things that are going on at this moment in time. We are messing about. I've gone Joe mode. To be honest, my emotions have been very similar with Joe this season, where I've gone from saying we're going to absolutely cook this season to, yeah, it's all over before a ball's even been kicked. I mean, it does feel like we are messing about. I mean, the fact is, against Cardiff, the fact we're down to 1 fully fit striker on the first game of the season, we're down to 1 striker. We haven't even got a fully fit left back at the club. It's absolute insanity. And we're trying to go out and put a statement out on Sunday. It's insane. We've got ourselves into this situation, but it is what it is. So I'm I am nervous. I'm not going to lie about Sunday.
Yeah, and Chris, what have you got coming up? Have you got much on the channel at all, mate?
Yeah, well, literally put out a little mini interview today, just a little bonus thing, with a guy who is like one of the most interesting people you ever speak to. He's the press director for the Marshall Islands, which is like really sick. And yeah, it's the last country in the world to not have football. So that's something pretty cool. If you guys want to go watch that,
Yeah,
it'd be fun.
Nice one, mate.
I'm
Nice
so
one.
jealous of that country. It ruins your life, football. It ruins your life, honestly.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, tell them to stick without it, Chris. Tell him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I could have lived there the last 2.5 years, I would have done, to be honest.
I reckon life expectancy must come down when football's introduced into society.
100%.
It must be. It must do. But yeah, as I said, the links to both channels are in the description below. And yeah, we'll be back next Thursday, same time, 7:00. Talking a little bit about the games that have just happened. And also we'll be looking forward to the game week 2. So thanks everyone for watching, and we'll catch you next week.